Good morning, students. Is my voice audible? Students, is my voice audible?
Yes, sir.
Right. So, roll number 15. We didn't get next module test schedule. So, mostly we are expecting within 1 week. So, within 1 week, we will get information about the module test. Then I will inform. Okay. Right. Now, strength is 48. We'll start fourth module. Students, we have completed 3 modules in this subject. Today, I'm going to start fourth module. Title of the fourth module is self-generating sensors. Title of the fourth module is self-generating sensors. Self-generating sensors means they will sense physical parameter variations without using external input supply. So here we have different types of self-generating sensors. First one is thermoelectric sensors. Next one is piezoelectric sensors. As the name, we are seeing thermo, temperature is involved in this sensor. And next one is piezoelectric sensors. Piezo means piezoelectric crystal we use in these sensors. And pyroelectric sensors. Pyroelectric sensors means we use temperature again in these sensors. Temperature we use to sense different parameters, or directly we will sense temperature. Photovoltaic sensors. Photovoltaic sensors use light energy. Photovoltaic cells use light energy. Sometimes they use light energy to sense other parameters. Sometimes they use directly light energy and they will estimate the received light energy. And electrochemical sensors. Electrochemical sensors means we use chemicals to produce electricity to sense other parameters. Next, signal conditioning for self-generating sensors. After discussing all the sensors, after understanding all the sensors, we will see which type of signal conditioning circuits we have to use for these sensors. Next, self-generating sensors. Definition for self-generating sensors. Self-generating sensors yield an electric signal from a measurand without requiring any electric supply. Self-generating sensors yield an electric signal from a measurand without requiring any electric supply. For example, if we take piezoelectric crystal, we know that if we apply pressure on piezoelectric crystal, or if you apply force to change its physical dimensions, it will produce electricity. I am giving piezoelectric crystal example. Piezoelectric crystal has a property. If we apply force on it, if we create pressure on the piezoelectric crystal, its dimensional changes will get changed and it will produce an electricity as output. So, piezoelectric crystal comes under self-generating sensor. So, self-generating sensors yield an electric signal from a measurand. What is a measurand? Sensor which is measuring a parameter. That is the measurand. If we are using a sensor to estimate pressure, sensor is estimating pressure value, so pressure will become measurand. And if we are using a flow meter will estimate the flow rate, so that flow rate will be measured. They offer alternative methods for measuring many common quantities. They offer alternative methods for measuring many common quantities in particular temperature, force, pressure, acceleration. Whatever it may be the physical parameters, this sensor can estimate. Whatever may be the physical parameter, that sensor can estimate. Next, furthermore, because they are based on reversible effects, these sensors can be used as actuators to obtain non-electric outputs from electric signals. Because they are based on reversible effects. Reversible effect means 90% of the sensors receive electrical input to sense parameters. But self-generating sensors are generating electrical signal by the variation of measurement. These sensors can be used as actuators to obtain non-electric outputs from electric signals. Actuator means it is a instrumentational device which can move from one place to another place. Okay. Next, thermoelectric sensors. First sensor in self-generating sensors, thermoelectric sensors. Thermoelectric sensors. First sensor in thermoelectric sensors, thermocouples. Thermoelectric sensors are based on two effects that are reversible as contrasted with the reversible Joule effect. They are the Peltier effect and the Thomson effect. Thermoelectric sensors are based on two effects that are reversible as contrasted with irreversible Joule effect. They are Peltier effect and Thomson effect. Students, so in coming slides we will see what is Peltier effect, what is the Thomson effect. Okay. Historically, it was Thomas J. Seebeck who first discovered in 1822 that in a circuit with two dissimilar homogeneous metals A and B having two junctions at different temperatures. Historically, it was Thomas J. who discovered thermocouple in 1822. That is, if we are using two dissimilar metals and if we frame two junctions and if we maintain two junctions at two different temperatures, we will get an electrical output. Already, students, we have completed experiment in our lab sessions. Okay. So, in the lab session, I have shown you one video, practical thermocouple. Okay. So, thermocouple is a device which consists two dissimilar metals like copper and iron or iron and aluminum. So, that type of dissimilar metals we have to use and we have to combine them by framing two junctions. And two junctions we have to maintain at two different temperatures. Then we have to estimate the EMF which is producing in the circuit. That is, there is a conversion from the thermal to electric energy. If the circuit is open, a thermoelectric electromotive force EMF appears that depends only on the metals and on the junction temperatures. A pair of different metals with a fixed junction at a point or zone constitutes a thermocouple. So here we have to use two different metals and we have to use two different temperatures at two different junctions. Produced EMF depends only on the metals and the temperatures. Thermocouple is a device. In thermocouple, we have to use two dissimilar metals and we have to join and we have to frame two junctions and we have to maintain two junctions at two different temperatures. Normally, one is cold temperature, another one is hot temperature. Then we can see an EMF which is produced in the circuit. This is called Seebeck effect. So here we have figures. A is a metal, B is another metal. A and B are different. And here we have high temperature T plus delta T, and here we have low temperature, that is only T. This arrow shows current flow and this shows potential, voltage potential. Seebeck effect in a thermocouple. A current or a potential difference appear when there are two metal junctions at different temperatures. Seebeck effect in a thermocouple. A current, next one is potential, we can see. The relation between the EMF EAB. So, by using voltmeter, students, we can estimate EAB. Here we didn't mention that EAB. So, EAB is the voltage which is produced in this circuit. The relationship between the EMF EAB and the difference in temperature between both junctions. He defines the Seebeck coefficient SAB. The relationship between the EMF EAB and the difference in temperature between both junctions T defines the Seebeck coefficient SAB. S is the Seebeck coefficient, and here we have an equation. SAB is equal to DEAB divided by DT. That is SA minus SB. What is SA coefficient of metal A? What is SP Seebeck coefficient of metal B? SAB Seebeck coefficient of circuit. Circuit means combination of A and B. Where SA and SB are respectively the absolute thermoelectric power for A and B, where SA and SB are respectively the absolute thermoelectric power for A and B. SAB is not in general constant but depends on T, usually increasing with T, because in equation we have variation in temperature, that is dT. So SAB is also a variable. It is important to realize that while the current flowing in the circuit depends on conductor resistance, the EMF does not depend on the resistivity on the conductor's cross section or on the temperature distribution or gradient. So here we have three important points, students. So I am explaining this point. It is important to realize that while the current flowing in the circuit depends on conductor resistances, the EMF does not depend on the resistivity. Current flow depends on resistance, but EMF does not depend on the resistivity. Or it is not depending on the temperature gradient. Temperature gradient is a coefficient of each metal, each material. So it depends on only temperature T and type of metal we are using in thermocouple. It is important to realize that while the current flowing in the circuit depends on conductor resistances, the EMF does not depend on the resistivity, on the conductor's cross section, that is size of the metal, or on the temperature distribution or gradient. It depends only on the difference in temperature between both junctions and on the metals, provided that they are homogeneous. This EMF is due to the Peltier and the Thomson effects. This EMF is due to the Peltier and the Thomson effects. Try to understand these points, students. Here we have another figure which is suitable to explain Peltier effect. Here figure is suitable to explain Peltier effect. Students, in figure we can understand that A is a metal, B is another metal which is not A, and junction A is our junction, first junction is maintained at T plus delta T, that is one type of temperature, and here we have other type of temperature, and we are not using any temperature source to heat or to observe these junctions, but we are using a battery. So Peltier effect says that when there is a current along a thermocouple circuit, one junction cools and another junction warms. So this is the Peltier effect. So here we are not using any temperature sources to heat up junctions, but we are using a battery to allow current flow in the circuit. When you allow current flow in the circuit, one junction will absorb heat, another junction will liberate heat. This is called Peltier effect. This is called Peltier effect. In Seebeck effect, we are increasing temperature. We are increasing temperature externally. We are not using any external voltage source. If you increase one junction temperature and if you maintain second junction at lower temperature, you can observe a current flow. If you are using voltmeter, you can estimate EMF. But what is Peltier effect? In Peltier effect, we are not using any temperature sources to increase junction temperatures, but you are using a battery to increase the current flow. Peltier effect says that when there is a current along a thermocouple circuit, one junction cools and other one get heated. So one junction will liberate heat, another junction will absorb heat. This is called Peltier effect. The Thomson effect discovered by William Thomson in 1847 to 1854 consists of heat absorption or liberation a homogeneous conductor. Homogeneous means single type of metal. Single type of metal. With a non-homogeneous temperature, when there is a current along it, as shown in figure. Coming slide, we have figure. Homogeneous means one type, same, similar. Non-homogeneous means different types of temperature. So here we are using non-homogeneous temperatures and we are using homogeneous conductor. The heat liberated is proportional to the current, not to its square, and therefore changes its sign for reversal current. Heat absorbed when charges flow from the colder to the hotter points, and it is liberated when the flow from the hotter to the colder one. In other words, heat is absorbed when charge and heat flow in the opposite direction, and heat is liberated when they flow in the same direction. So I will show you figure. So here we have current flow and the non-homogeneous temperatures. What is the Thomson effect? When there is a current along a conductor with a non-homogeneous temperature, heat is absorbed or liberated. See students, here we have three types of temperatures, T1, T2, T1. And here we have T2, T1 minus delta T, T1 plus delta T. And T2 lies in between these two temperatures. And you can observe the current flow. You can observe the current flow. And in this figure, current flow is reverse from the first one. But heat energy is flowing from high temperature to low temperature. So here figure shows Thomson effect. The heat liberated is proportional to the current, not its squares, and therefore changes its sign for reversal current. Heat is absorbed when charges flow from the colder to the hotter points. Heat is absorbed when charges flow from the colder to the hotter points. So here we have cold point and this is hot point. Current flow is flowing from colder point to higher point. And it is liberated when they flow from the hotter to the colder one. This figure, hotter to the colder one. In other words, heat is absorbed when charge and heat flow in opposite directions, and heat is liberated when they flow in the same direction. So this is the Thomson effect. The heat flux per unit volume Q in a conductor of resistivity R with a longitudinal temperature gradient dt, that is dx, along which 1 minute students. So Q is equal to I square R, minus 1 sigma dt by dx, where sigma is the Thomson coefficient. The first term on the right side describes the irreversible Joule effect, and the second term describes the reversible Thomson effect. And practical thermocouple laws are law of homogeneous circuits, law of intermediate metals, law of successive or intermediate temperatures. All these laws we will see. But here, observe this equation, and here we are using the Thomson effect, and this is Peltier effect, and this is Seebeck effect. So on a single slide, I will show you effects, students, Seebeck effect and Peltier effect and Thomson effect. First one is Seebeck effect, students. So intentionally I have muted this video. So here first one is Seebeck effect, next one is Peltier effect, last one is Thomson effect. And if we focus on Seebeck effect, we are using two dissimilar metals and we are maintaining at two different temperatures, junctions, and we will get an EMF. This is the Seebeck effect. When two dissimilar metals are connected to each other to form two junctions, and these are subjected to different temperatures, an electric current flows through it. This combination of two dissimilar metals is called as thermocouple. This is Seebeck effect. And next one is Peltier effect. We are not using any temperature sources to heat thermocouple junctions, but we are using external power supply, external battery to allow current flow in the circuit. Next one is Peltier effect. In Peltier effect also, to prove the Peltier effect, we are taking two dissimilar metals, metal A and metal B. And we are using a power supply, that is battery. And by using two metal junctions, we can frame two junctions. By using two metallic wires, we can frame two junctions. And if you allow current flow in the circuit, you can observe one junction will get heat energy and another junction will lose heat energy. That is, one junction liberates temperature, another junction will absorb the temperature. And next one is Thomson effect. What is the basic difference between Seebeck effect, Peltier effect, and the Thomson effect? In Seebeck effect, Peltier effect, we are taking two different metals, that is non-homogeneous metals. Non-homogeneous metals. But in Thomson effect, we are taking homogeneous metal, that is copper we are taking in this example. And if we maintain non-homogeneous temperatures throughout the circuit, and if we allow current flow, if current flow is flowing reverse to the heat flow, heat energy will be liberated, and if the current flow and the heat energy flow are similar, heat energy will be liberated. That is the Thomson effect. In this also we are using battery. Thomson effect states that a potential gradient exists even in a single conductor having temperature gradient. If temperature gradient exists along any metal or both the metal of thermocouple, then junction EMF may be slightly altered. This effect is called Thomson effect. So, in this class, we have seen Seebeck effect, Peltier effect, and Thomson effect, students. Seebeck effect, Peltier effect, and Thomson effect. In coming class, we will see law of homogeneous circuits, law of intermediate metals, and law of successive intermediate temperatures. Okay, but in this class, we understood Thomson effect, Peltier effect, and Seebeck effect. So at 10:40, you have session exam, students, in module. So go and attempt session exam at 10:40.
Two ends of a single conductor are maintained at different temperatures and electromotive force is developed between them, that is, potential of one end becomes higher than that of the other. This electromotive force is called Thomson's electromotive force. If now steady current is passed through such an unequally heated conductor, an absorption of every conductor. The absorption or evolution of heat other than Joule's heat when current is passed through an unequally heated conductor is called Thomson's effect. An absorbed force is called and becomes is developed are maintained on the direction of effect. If the two ends of a single conductor are maintained at different temperatures, an electromotive force is developed between them, that is, potential of one end becomes higher than that of the other. This electromotive force is called Thomson's electromotive force. If now steady current is passed through such an unequally heated conductor, an absorption or evolution of heat other than Joule's heat takes place along the length of the conductor. The absorption or evolution of heat other than Joule's heat when current is passed through an unequally heated conductor is called Thomson's effect.
So this is about Thomson effect, students. And go and attempt session quiz.